What if I told you that 80% of your time is wasted? You spend all day checking off your to-do list, but only 20% of that work actually moves the needle. This isn't a theory, it's a mathematical law that governs business and life. This book explains how to flip that ratio so you can achieve 80% of your results with just 20% of the effort. Let's get right into it. The first and most important concept is the principle of imbalanced effort. The core idea is that a small number of causes are responsible for the majority of results. We think that every hour we work, every task we complete, and every customer we serve has equal value, but they don't. The 80-20 principle proves that roughly 80% of your outcomes come from only 20% of your inputs. This isn't a failure. It's a law of nature, and your job is to stop focusing on the trivial 80% and ruthlessly focus on the vital 20%. The book gives a fascinating example of this from Hollywood. A 1997 study of 300 movies found that just 4 films, that's only 1.3% of the total, generated a staggering 80% of all ticket sales. The entire industry's success rested on a tiny fraction of its products. The same is true for your work. A few key actions are generating almost all of your meaningful results, while the rest is just noise. So here is your plan to apply this. This week, I want you to run an 80-20 audit on your own work. First, identify your single most important goal. Is it revenue? A promotion? A finished project? Get crystal clear on the result you want. Second, list all the tasks you do in a typical week. Write down everything: the meetings, the reports, the calls, the emails. Third, circle the 20% of those tasks that directly contribute to the goal you identified. Be honest and brutal. You will find that only a few tasks actually produce the results. That is your vital 20%. The rest is the trivial 80%. Once you've identified that vital 20%, you need to free up the time to focus on it. This brings us to our second lesson, the liberation from time management. Conventional time management is a trap. It focuses on making you more efficient by cramming more tasks into your day, which is a fast track to burnout. The 80-20 approach is a time revolution. The goal is not to manage your time better, but to multiply it by identifying and then systematically eliminating the low-impact 80% of your work. The book gives a powerful case study from the author's own consulting firm. Normally, consultants try to solve a wide range of issues for their clients, delivering superficial work and leaving the difficult implementation to the client. The author's firm did the opposite. They focused only on the most important 20% of their clients' problems, the ones that would create the biggest results, and used the time they saved to help the clients implement the solutions. This approach allowed them to massively outperform other firms and drive huge profits for their clients. Here is your blueprint for achieving this. You're going to create a not-to-do list. First, take the list of tasks from our first exercise. Look at the 80% of tasks you didn't circle, the ones that produce minimal results. Second, for each of those low-value tasks, ask yourself 3 questions. Must it be done at all? Can it be automated? Can it be delegated? Third, execute immediately. Any task that doesn't need to be done, eliminate it. Any task someone else can do, delegate it. Be ruthless in protecting your time for the vital 20%. This philosophy of strategic elimination is not just for personal productivity, it's also the secret to building a highly profitable business. This is our third lesson, the mandate to simplify. In business, we are taught that more is better. More products, more customers, more complexity. The 80-20 principle proves this is wrong. Complexity creates massive hidden costs in logistics, training, and administration. The most successful companies understand that a tiny fraction of their products, the top 20%, generates around 80% of their profit. The author gives a perfect example of this. He conducted a study at an electronics company and found that just 3 of their products accounted for a whopping 52.6% of their total profits, while representing less than 20% of sales. Their entire product line was a distraction, so management was encouraged to give the sales team a single goal: double the sales of those 3 specific products and ignore everything else. This intense focus is how you dominate a market. Here is your action plan for simplifying your business this week. First, conduct a profit audit. Rank every single product or service you offer, from most profitable to least profitable. Second, identify your top 20. Circle the top 20% of your offerings that are generating 80% of your profits. These are your winners. Third, create a plan to double down on them. Redirect your marketing budget, your sales team's focus, and your creative energy towards selling more of your most profitable offerings. Simultaneously, create a plan to phase out your worst performing products. Our final lesson shows how to apply this principle to the most important area of all, your life. This is the happiness audit. The 80-20 principle states that a small number of your relationships and experiences are responsible for the vast majority of your happiness. But most of us spend our time in people and in situations that bring us little to no joy. The lesson here is to consciously identify the 20% of your life that produces 80% of your happiness, and then re-engineer your life to do more of it. The book explains this through 80-20 thinking. It's not about complex data analysis. It's about asking profound questions. We are taught that all friends are equally valuable, but 80-20 thinking forces you to acknowledge that some relationships are far more meaningful than others. The goal is to choose quality over quantity and intentionally deepen the 20% of relationships that bring you the most joy and support. Here is your blueprint for conducting a happiness audit. First, identify your happiness islands. Ask yourself, which 20% of my activities in life provide 80% of my joy? Make a short list. Second, identify your unhappiness drains. Ask the reverse question, which 20% of my activities cause 80% of my stress, anxiety, or unhappiness? Be brutally honest. Third, make one change this week. Choose one item from your unhappiness list and take one step to reduce it. Then take the time you just freed up and invest it directly into one of your happiness islands. The principle of imbalanced effort shows us where to focus. The liberation from time management gives us the time to do it. The mandate to simplify clears the path in our business, and the happiness audit applies it to our lives. The core takeaway is simple. Success and happiness don't come from doing more, but from doing more of what truly matters and having the courage to ignore the rest. Now, I have a question for you. Based on these 4 lessons, what is the #1 low-value task or activity you are going to eliminate from your life this week? Share it in the comments below, and let's hold each other accountable.